Some secrets stay hidden for years, sometimes for decades. But then one file gets released, one victim speaks, one investigation begins, and suddenly the story changes. These are 4 times the CIA got exposed. Story 1. MKUltra, the mind control experiments. Long before the internet turned mind control into a conspiracy phrase, the CIA had a real program that studied exactly that. Its name was MKUltra. The goal was to understand whether drugs, hypnosis, isolation, psychological pressure, and other methods could be used to control human behavior. On paper, it was research. In reality, it became one of the darkest chapters in American intelligence history. People were used as test subjects. Some knew they were part of experiments. Others did not. And that is what makes this story so disturbing. Because when a government agency begins testing the human mind, the line between science and abuse can disappear very quickly. The CIA wanted answers. Could a person be broken? Could someone be made more suggestible? Could drugs force someone to reveal secrets? Could the mind itself become a battlefield? One of the most infamous parts of MKUltra involved LSD. The drug was given to people in controlled settings, but also, in some cases, to people who had no idea what was happening to them. Imagine sitting in a room, believing the world around you is normal, and then your own mind begins turning against you. You do not know why. You do not know who did it. You do not even know if you are safe. For years, MKUltra stayed hidden behind classified files and destroyed records, but eventually, the program was exposed. Senate hearings brought the name into public view. Documents showed that this was not a rumor. It was not a strange internet theory. It was real. And that is why MKUltra still scares people today. Not because of what we imagine happened, but because of what we know happened. The CIA was not just watching enemies. It was experimenting with the human mind. And some of the people involved never gave permission. Story 2. Operation Chaos, when the CIA watched Americans. The CIA was created to gather intelligence outside the United States. Foreign threats, foreign governments, foreign operations. But during the 1960s and 1970s, something changed. America was divided. There were protests against the Vietnam War, civil rights movements, student movements, anti-government groups, a country arguing with itself in the streets. And inside the government, some people began asking a dangerous question. Were these movements being influenced by foreign powers? That question became the doorway. The CIA began collecting information on American citizens and domestic protest groups. The program became known as Operation Chaos. The name almost sounds fictional, but it was real. The goal was to find foreign influence behind anti-war and protest movements. But the program went far beyond a simple question. Files were opened, names were collected, groups were monitored. Activists, students, and political dissidents became subjects of intelligence interest. And the disturbing part is this. Many of the people being watched were not foreign agents. They were Americans using their right to protest. This is the kind of story that does not need monsters. The fear comes from paperwork, from lists, from agents reading names, from a government agency looking inward at its own citizens. Eventually, the abuse of intelligence agencies became impossible to ignore. The Church Committee investigated intelligence abuses by the CIA, FBI, NSA, and other agencies. And the public learned that the wall between foreign intelligence and domestic surveillance had not always held. Operation Chaos became a symbol of what happens when fear is allowed to expand the mission. Because once surveillance begins, it rarely stops exactly where it was supposed to. One file becomes 10. One name becomes a network. One suspicion becomes a program. And suddenly, the agency built to watch threats from the outside is watching people at home. Story 3. The Wrong Man, Khaled El-Masri. After September 11th, the world changed. Fear changed. Rules changed. And intelligence agencies were given enormous power in the name of stopping terrorism. But power under pressure can make terrible mistakes. One of the most haunting examples is the case of Khaled El-Masri. He was a German citizen. He was traveling when he was detained in Macedonia. Authorities believed he was connected to terrorism. But he was the wrong man. That mistake should have ended quickly. It did not. El-Masri was held, questioned, then handed over to a CIA rendition team. He was flown to Afghanistan, and for months, he disappeared into a system most people were never supposed to see. No public trial, no normal courtroom, no clear way out. Just detention, interrogation, and the terrifying reality of being trapped inside a mistake made by powerful people. That is what makes this story different. It is not about a spy. It is not about a mastermind. It is not about someone caught with a weapon or a plan. It is about a man who was taken because people thought he was someone else. And even when that mistake became clear, he did not simply return home the next day. He had already lost months of his life. He had already been transported across borders. He had already been treated like an enemy. The case later became one of the most important examples of extraordinary rendition, a phrase that sounds bureaucratic, almost clean. But behind those words were people being moved from one country to another, outside the ordinary legal system, into places where very few people could see what was happening. Khaled El-Masri's story is terrifying because it asks one simple question. What happens when the system is wrong, but the system is too powerful to admit it in time? For him, the answer was not theoretical. It was real. He was the wrong man, and still, he disappeared. Story 4. The Torture Report and the Black Sites. In 2014, the world saw a summary of one of the most disturbing investigations in modern American history. The Senate Intelligence Committee released its report on the CIA's detention and interrogation program after 9/11. The language was official. The pages were formal. But what they described was brutal. Secret detention sites, enhanced interrogation techniques, detainees held outside the normal legal system, and claims that the program had been more effective, more controlled, and more necessary than the evidence supported. The report said the CIA's interrogations were far more brutal than the agency had represented to policymakers and others. It also found serious problems in how the program was managed and described. But one of the darkest parts was this: some people were wrongfully detained. That means people were pulled into the system who did not meet the standard for being there. People who should not have been held. People who became part of a secret program because the machinery of fear was already moving. This is where the story becomes larger than one case. It becomes a pattern, a secret site, a hidden file, a legal phrase that makes something violent sound technical. A report written years later, after the damage was already done. The word black site sounds like something from a movie, but it was not a movie. It was a real part of the war on terror. Places where people could be held far from public view. Places where oversight was weak. Places where the truth could stay buried for years. And when the report finally came out, it did not just expose what had happened. It exposed how carefully language can hide reality. Enhanced interrogation, rendition, detention program. These words sound controlled, but behind them were human beings. Fear, pain, isolation, and mistakes that could not be undone. This is why the CIA torture report still matters. Not because it revealed that governments make mistakes. Everyone knows governments make mistakes. It mattered because it showed what can happen when mistakes are classified, when abuse is renamed, when accountability arrives years too late, and when the people inside the system are no longer treated as people, but as problems to be managed. These 4 stories are different. Mind control experiments, domestic surveillance, a man taken by mistake, secret prisons, and interrogation. But they all point to the same warning. When power operates in the dark, people can disappear inside the system. And sometimes, the truth only comes out years later. Which story disturbed you the most? Write it in the comments. And subscribe to Cold Room Mysteries for more real stories from the darkest places on Earth.